District Budget Committee meeting to order for Thursday, May 2nd at 9 a.m. Shall we do the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Romero?
Here.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Bouchnet?
Here.
Commissioner Wickie?
Here.
Commissioner Alegria here. Commissioner McDonald? And Commissioner Withers is excused.
Yes.
And then Tita Montero?
She just got on.
Okay. And Clark Howard?
I do not see a Clark Powers in.
John Lansing? Marianne Brandon? She's on Zoom, I believe. And Paul Putke? And then Jim.
Here.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Tita. There's Marianne.
Hello.
Morning.
Morning,
Good
everyone.
morning, everyone.
Just before we do the election for the chair for today, I have something I would like to say. Point of privilege, maybe. So I just want everybody to know that the board has worked really hard this past year to better understand our financial reports. It's really easy to go to a workshop and take a financial class, but these reports are usually generic and they don't look like everybody else's reports. We needed training tailored to our reports so our board would understand them. John Drazen, our neighbor from Columbia County, not only stepped in to help Kelly get where she is now, but he also spent 3 hours with us with our reports so that we would understand what we were looking at. We have also been able to help tailor those reports with Kelly so there's more information on them so that we understand them fully as we go on. Most of the board has attended a 3-day Oregon budget law class put on by the Oregon Department of Revenue. We also attended a financial training with ODOT. We've also been updating our policies, which are that we are still working on. And we have asked the bank not to just send the bank statements to our financial officer, but also to the secretary treasurer of the board so that we can make sure that we know what's in our bank accounts. When we ask questions at our meeting now, we get answers right then and there from Kelly. We weren't getting answers before this. I feel that we are not only in a better place financially, but I feel that the board has a much better understanding. We've worked hard to get where we are now, and I'm very, very proud of our board right now. Okay, moving on. First item is the election of the budget chair. I will take nominations now for the election of budget chair. Paul?
I would like to nominate Debbie Booth Smith to be our committee chair this year.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I'm gonna pass the gavel to our, where is he? Our vice chair as we go on, so there's no conflict.
Thank you. Other further nominations? Other further nominations?
I believe that boards that consist of both elected members and community members should be chaired by a community member rather than the elected board member. So I am going to nominate Paul.
Which Paul?
Paul Lewicki, yes.
Paul Ricky has been nominated.
He's a board member.
Oh, I didn't realize he was a board member. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't think Paul.
I don't see,
And I don't see any other nominations. So I would close nominations and we shall vote.
There's no other nomination.
Yeah, so we all appoint you. Yeah. Pass the baton back.
All right. Approval of the June 16, 2023 budget minutes. I would entertain a motion.
I move to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
Okay, I'm very good about grammar and spelling, but the reason I have my limits. So on page 9, under 9, the second one, tough is T-O-U, it's a homonym, T-O-U, and then on the last sentence, on the right-hand side, it's board, B-O-A-R-D, not B-O-R-D.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
I'm sorry, I mean, this is Paul. Are we doing did we do the chair or are we looking over the minutes now?
Or to the minutes, Paul.
Okay, I think there's a typo on the minutes. Hold on, let me get them out. On page, at least my page 5 of the package, there are some comments that are attributed to me that I don't think I actually made. I think maybe Paul Lewicki made them. If you go to the bottom of page 5, it says Paul Putke commented that we have left QuickBooks and gone to more complicated program. I don't think that was me.
I'll check on that.
And then when you go farther down on page 6, it goes, Paul Putke added that forensic audit should show where it went. I think that's Paul Lewicki too. And farther in that paragraph, it says Paul Putke also said we would like to know what is happening, but it will take time to unwind. I think all 3 of those are an error.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll check and let you know.
All right, thanks.
Okay, anything else? If I could have a motion to approve minutes as corrected.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tracy and seconded by Guillermo. If we can do a vote by consensus, all in favor of passing as corrected, say aye.
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 Any opposed? I see no opposed. And then we can go back to the first one, the first motion. All in favor of passing the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Minutes have been approved. Moving on to the budget officer report. Kelly.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I will read our message here. Dear Sunset Empire Transportation District Board of Commissioners, Citizen Budget Committee members, and citizens of Clatsop County. Enclosed is a proposed budget for the Sunset Empire Transportation District fiscal year 24-25. The purpose of the budget message and other information included in the budget document is to provide sufficient information to the Budget Committee, the Board of Commissioners, and citizens so that an understanding of the proposed budget for the coming fiscal year may be gained. The proposed budget was developed pursuant to state statute, SETD financial policy, and other district policies. The information contained in the proposed budget represents the district's staff's best estimates of resources and expenditures. These were obtained using professional judgment, existing policies, budget history, and generally accepted accounting practices. The SETD Budget Committee consists of the Board of Commissioners and an equal number of eligible residents appointed by the Commission for a total of 14 committee members. In its deliberations, the Budget Committee reviews and, if necessary, revises the proposed budget for the budget officer. The Sunset Empire Transportation District Board of Commissioners has appointed me, Kelly Smith, as the budget officer. The appointment of the financial officer as the budget officer was identified as a best practice and is being done to divest from the executive director being the sole authority in regard to budget preparations. We started the year being led by interim executive director Paul Lewicki, and as we were emerging from a financial crisis. We were unsure what was ahead for our district as we were awaiting the results of an ODOT forensic audit, which took place in August of 23. I'm very thankful for the amazing staff at SETD as they stepped up and got the job done, and the organization persevered in the face of this adversity. When the results of the forensic audit were released, the audit showed no fraud, but it did reveal that the district had outdated policies and procedures that needed updating. The audit also required several financial trainings that staff and the Board of Commissioners attended. The forensic audit has put the district in a better place with a clearer direction going forward. ODOT also created an action plan for SETD to regain and remain eligible to receive our state and federal funding. Staff completed the plan requirements with the final requirement being the draft budget that you received at the end of March. I look forward to presenting you with the current draft budget at our first budget meeting on May 2nd. SETD is currently being led by Executive Director Craig Johnston, who was hired in October of 23, and have been working hard to bring back as many sustainable routes as possible. We resumed service in May of 23, offering only 2 paratransit routes and 1 Monster 101 route. The Route 101 combined routes 10, 20, and 101 into one long route beginning in East Astoria and traveling to Cannon Beach and back 4 times a day. Due to funding improvements, we have reinstated the Pacific Connector, routes 10, 20 individually, and shortened Route 101 back to traveling just between Astoria and Seaside. We're very happy to be reinstating the Warrenton-Hammond Route 15 May 1st. We have also been able to bring back 2 transportation support specialists, 1 here at the TC in Astoria and 1 in Warrenton, a lot and facility attendant, and an operations driver supervisor. We have 2 to 3 temporary drivers that have come back to help us when needed. We're in the second half of the biennium for our ODOT grant funding and STIF program, so the budgeted amounts are what remain in the grants that we expect to use and receive for this fiscal year. We have a 5339 capital projects grant for 4 new buses that we are hoping to be able to use this fiscal year. You will notice that we have budgeted $720,000. That is for both the grant amount, $612,000, and our match amount, $108,000. We plan to use local funds, property taxes for the match. We have budgeted for a slight increase in property taxes and a decrease in timber revenue. Although we haven't been given much information on what the timber revenue will look like, we believe it will decrease roughly 30 to 35%. Our STIF program funding is coming in strong. ODOT is predicting we will exceed our plan maximum and therefore has implemented a special rule so that districts in our situation are able to access those funds in fiscal year 25 as opposed to waiting until fiscal year 26. We are taking advantage of this and increasing our maximum and utilizing $172,000 of those funds to increase our paratransit operation funding and make $168,000 early repayment on our OTIB loan. This early repayment will bring our total loan payments on the OTIB loan to $715,610 by the end of the next fiscal year. These additional funds will help save our local funds and utilize STIP funding. This budget includes allocating $100,000 for capital reserves to build up for future needs. We no longer receive the SDF, the Special Transportation Funds, and we are not utilizing the STIP discretionary grant that we had in previous years as we're not traveling outside of our district at this time. There was a wage study done during our current fiscal year, and it was determined that our non-represented employees are overdue for a salary adjustment. Just to match the CPIU for the last 3 years, we have proposed a 9.4% increase. There's also an increase in the cost of benefits for the district this year. We have accounted for both of those increases in personnel services. SETD building maintenance has been deferred for several years, and we are making it a priority to ensure our infrastructure is brought into a sound condition. We are planning building improvements, including roof repairs and possibly future roof replacement. You will notice a large increase in building grounds and maintenance as we're currently unsure of what the outcome of inspections and recommendations will be. You will notice that printing and outreach have also increased this year. This is due to the lack of funding being allotted and support for outreach in the past. We have our routes established and staff has many plans on improving communication and outreach about our services to the public. We have increased our funding for vehicle maintenance as well. Our fleet is aging and requires ongoing maintenance to keep it moving. We have a great mechanic and we are fortunate that he can do most of our work, but there is still a chance of needing outside assistance and we want to plan for that. Our budget process last fiscal year was quite challenging for both staff and the budget committee, but we managed to put together a responsible, sound budget that we could sustain throughout the year. We're in a much better position now than last year, and I'm excited to go into this next year as we continue to rise from the ashes. With input from staff, this budget allows for cautious growth of the district and, more importantly, sustainability. We look forward to your input and approval. So going into this, a couple of things. So Mary has provided for us a separate document that just has the budget, which will make it a little bit easier moving forward. So we'll just be working through that, and it's numbered 1 through 8. I think that'll make it a little bit easier. You've also been provided, Jason, can you put up the bank statements? And I don't think we need to go through all of them. Those that are not here, I'm happy to email those too. But Debbie had asked that there be proof that there's money in the bank, to make sure that, you know, the number that we're saying is there is really there. So I've just provided a copy of our bank statements. That's from April. You know, there's outstanding checks in that. That's not our exact balance that we, you know, have. But it gives you an idea that yes, we do have money in the bank moving forward, that it's not a fictitious number.
Will you just check and see if they can all hear you? You know, just to make sure that the audio is working.
I hope so. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, I hope so.
I can hear you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I can hear you, Kelly.
Thank you.
This is Sue.
Thank you. Thank you. It helps me too.
I guess I didn't think about that part, sorry.
So say Kelly, I know this is about budgets, but quick question on this bank statement, real quick. So these are all DDA, non-interest bearing accounts?
The money market is
Yeah.
interest bearing.
Yeah, so majority is non-interest bearing,
Yes.
demand deposit accounts. And these balances are with Lewis Clark Bank. So is there sensitivity to FDIC 250? I mean, these balances add up way over that
Way over.
number.
No.
Wow,
Mine
wow,
has-
that's unusual.
My husband and I use Lewis and Clark for our business, and
Yeah.
and they've always told us that we're fine.
Well, I'm sure they do tell you that, but, okay, just a comment, I've never seen that before. But that's okay.
I could hear Kelly, but with your conversation, I could not hear what you were saying.
I just raised the issue, if you do an aggregate consolidation of these non-interest-bearing DDAs, it far exceeds any independent bank's $250,000 FDIC insurance limit, which my experience, that's very typical.
Yeah,
Your ballgame.
why would we be exempt from that $250,000 limit?
You're only insured up to $250,000.
Yeah, it's only insured.
One account, so these are all one account domiciled by your transit authority, so it's one relationship, so you'd be exposed for anything over $250,000 if there's any kind of bank issue. That's my own comment.
I believe you are correct.
And I can look into that more.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for providing those, Kelly.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
So I'm gonna ask you, do you want me to go line by line through everything?
I think that would be,
Okay,
since we're,
coming in and.
yes.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure that was where, that's kind of where I was at, but I want to make sure that's where you are. So, a nice thing this year versus last year is last year we started with nothing. This year we're starting with, just over $1 million available to us. If we just go line by line through this, we're budgeting $18,500 for previously levied taxes. So those are taxes that are for previous years, and we still get those funds. $20,000 in interest. I plan to keep contingency money in the bank and continue to grow that. That's an interest-bearing account, so we'll continue to get interest on.
Will you say the line number? I think, when you're saying, going down the list. Line number 4, thank you.
Line number 4.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
How much interest are you earning on that account?
Just under $1,000, 800.
No, what percent interest are you earning?
2.7.
Okay, well, there are,
2.53.
I know you can get as much as 5.25 interest nowadays, so.
From where?
I have 3 banks giving me more than 5% interest.
So we looked into this last month, and as an individual, yes, you can get a high interest rate like that. As a regular business money market, you can get a high, not quite that high, but a higher interest rate, but not as a government.
I see, okay.
Yeah, I wish, I would love to be able to get 5%, but as a government, it all stays right about the same.
Okay.
Moving on to fares, which is line 6. We budgeted $65,000 for that. We've got all of our basic routes back up and running now, and our paratransit and everything. So I think that that's a good number there. IGA contracted services, that is for we do some stuff with Tillamook Medical. Rentals is our parking spaces out here. That's our parking spaces and our sign that's on top of our building. Line 9 is commissions and proceeds. That is our charging stations. We've budgeted $3,000 for that. Our charging stations and our vending machines. Line 10 is timber revenue. We have $165,000 there. We still have more timber revenue coming in this year, so I'm hopeful that we'll be close to what we had budgeted last year. So I'm hoping to get some more information from the county, but I think 165 is a good number for our timber.
And as we look to the future, what are we looking at in terms of losses due to reduction in timber revenue? Are we going to face some losses this coming year, next year? What are we looking at?
Yes, we will have less timber revenue. And so that's, that's gonna make a difference, but I think that's part of, I think our way of looking at that is just continuing to watch really closely what we're spending, not add things that we don't need to do at this time, and just continue to be cautious. And then we'll see what it looks like for the following fiscal year. I haven't gotten any forecasting for that at this point.
Okay.
Let's see, line 11 is state mass transit, that's payroll distribution. So those are payroll taxes that come into us. Other, we have budgeted $2,500 for that. Our other is when you sell when you laminate something, that goes under other. We charge to laminate things, that goes under other. If somehow we overpay something when they reimburse us for, when they send that back, it goes into other. So it's not something that we really plan. We used to get from SDIS, we would get like $7,500 like insurance rebate, longevity rebate, but they've taken that away. So that would go under other. In the past, we're not getting that this year, and we don't know when that will come back, so. We have our ODOT 5310 mobility grant on line 13. The remainder of that grant is $161,594. Line 14 is our 5311 operations. The remainder of that grant is $775,022. Line 16 is 5339 bus and facilities grant. This is the grant that I mentioned in my budget message for our new buses that we're looking to be able to purchase this next year. Then we have our STIF formula fund of $1,047,017 on line 19. So our total resources except taxes is $4,426,633. And then our estimated taxes to be received on line 23 is $1,300,000 for total resources of $5,726,633. Do we have questions on that page before we continue?
I have two questions. On the fairs, it's great that we're looking at more income for the fairs. What is your sense of people returning to use the usage and the ridership? And this may not be a question for you, it may be for somebody else, but are people coming back?
Yeah, we have about 50% back at this point. And that's before we opened Route 15 in Warrenton. So I would consider us on the right track. I would consider that number to be an accurate number.
Okay. And then on the 4 buses, are you looking to replace buses that we already have or bring in 4 new buses and increase the fleet?
We're looking to bring in 4 new buses and increase the fleet. These buses that we're looking at can be used both in paratransit and possibly in the use of microtransit as we move forward. They'll have more utility for the district.
So if that's the case, are you figuring in additional FTEs so that you can operate those buses?
Yes.
Okay.
Pam?
Why do you think property taxes will increase $200,000?
Property taxes go up about 3% every year.
Every year.
And the other thing, and I may have missed this, I don't see any money or comment about adding more routes
At this point in time, we're not looking to add any additional routes.
for 2 years.
This is for 1 year.
Oh, this is for 1 year.
This is for 1 year. Right now, we've come back to our basic, right? We've brought back all of our basic routes. I think, we're only a year past what happened, and I think it's really important that we just kind of, I don't wanna say glide, but we just let things be at this point in time, continue to, do what we do really well and not try to spread out super fast. I think that we were too spread out before. And I don't wanna see us get into a tight situation. I wanna be able to have everything run smoothly.
No, I understand that. And then the other thing is, if I understand correctly, you're taking money from fiscal year 2026 and using it now, or do I not understand that?
No, we're not taking money from fiscal year 26, so the STIF money, are you talking about the STIF money that I
No,
referred
that-
to?
Plan, what do you call it, plan something?
The STIF plan?
No. So that you just received more money than you expected.
That's
Plan
the,
maximum.
it's the STIF plan, and it's not money from the next fiscal year, so Craig might be able to explain this better than I can.
Yeah, so just to give you a little background on STIF, it's a biennial plan. We receive funds among our various projects. And at the time of shutdown, our SDIF plan was reconstructed. And we have 5 projects, and one of those 5 projects, project number 5, is the OTIP loan repayment. They take that money out and they pay the loan before we even see it. What ODOT determined is that our STIF plan max, which was $2.1 million over the biennial, was below their estimated funds that they were gonna receive. So they implemented a special one-time rule where a transit could extend its maximum and receive those funds during that current biennium. What had happened in the past during the 21 to 23 biennium was that transits got their maximum fundage and then they held that money until August of the following year. So this allows us to receive those funds, utilize them in our current services during this biennium.
Thank you.
We have a hand raised for Paul Cookie.
Go ahead, Paul.
Hi, just one question on the timber revenue, year-to-date actuals. Has the transit district received all the timber revenues, or is there some more anticipated coming in?
Anticipate one more timber payment.
Okay, okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Is there a certain date or just when it comes in?
When it comes in, it goes to the county and then the county distributes it. And the county's very fast. When it comes in, they distribute it. So, okay, thank you. Any other questions on resources?
Just one, so this fleet, you're increasing the fleet, so there's absolutely no reduction in any other country, so there's no reduction of assets, there's no, of any kind.
Not at this point.
I don't know if they heard you.
Don't know if they did either.
Yeah.
What I heard is you're confirming is that there's no other reduction in assets.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just a little hard to hear. Thanks.
Okay, moving on to page 2 for requirements. We'll go to salaries and wages on line 2. We are budgeting $1,975,000. Payroll expenses on line 3 is $319,000. Line 4 for employee benefits, $570,000, with FTE of 30, making a total there of $2,864,000. Want that now or later?
Can I ask now?
Go for it.
So
What is our year-to-date actual FTEs? I see what was in the adopted budget, but I don't see a year-to-date.
We are at 23.
23.
Okay.
Sue's on the meeting if you'd like that.
If I can interject, we have 25 employees now and 2 temporary.
So those don't count, those are part
Yeah,
of my.
the number of employees doesn't have to equal the number of FTEs.
Right.
It's all.
Right.
So my question is, does these numbers include that possible 9.2% to adjust the
Yes, it does.
non-represented? Okay,
Yes, we factor that in to our budget.
thank you.
So that's 9.4% is based on a 3-year historical trend that you're projecting forward?
No,
You said
Sue,
something about a 3-year cost of living something.
prior, so
prior,
we
yeah.
didn't get adequate cost of living for the non-represented employees.
So now you're gonna make up for it in this year. And this will be the new base then, will be a new base increase by 9.4% then going forward. Okay, there's no COLA in this, anything like that, it's just flat, only.
It's a 9,
increase.
right,
And because I'm new, you're all non-union employees?
our drivers and our mechanic are union employees.
And this same increase applies to every single employee?
No, during the last 3 years, they've received 20,
15.
20%.
Close to 20%, the union drivers have almost 20% increase over the last couple of years.
Okay, so you're not addressing the union people with this 9.4%, okay.
Yeah, this is strictly non-represented.
Okay, so the union will dictate what their salary increases are gonna be pretty much, and that's built into this too, you already know that. What's their increase?
They have a 2.5 COLA.
2.5 COLA automatic, they get that. There's no other increase
Their
other
step
than
increases.
their step increases, okay, okay.
When does the next union contract come up for negotiation?
I think it's 27.
I believe it's 27.
Okay,
Pam?
So this is sort of putting it all together in terms of the wages, labor would be $1 million more than previous. So the question is, where is that $1 million coming from? I'm sure it's all different sources, but that's a lot of money.
We have 5311, 5310, local funds, STIP funds. So it comes from a lot of different resources.
So then so now you will continue having $1 million increase as time for every year.
Not quite $1 million, but
Okay.
probably not. This is a 9% this year. They put in 9% for this year. That's not going to be 9% next year and 9% the year after. So it's probably not going to.
so it'll level out. Like this year, it's just to kind of bring us back, right, to where we should be, and then it'll be just a normal going forward.
What do you mean it'll bring you back? Because maybe I'm a little thick-headed here. The wage increase would be 9.2 for.
No.
No, just
Not
this
the
year.
increase, the amount. The
Right,
amount.
but
amount
the large amount right now is that we have that 9.2, 9.4 right now. But that we'll be at that wage, but we won't continue to have that spike.
Right, but it's still $1 million increase over last.
Well, actually, we had budgeted 1.3. We've done well at holding off on rehiring some positions, so we're coming in under budget. But with the raises, we're factoring in at 1.9. So not $1 million.
Okay, so there's enough money to increase the number of employees to 30.
Yes.
Anything, Jason?
Paul Brookings is,
Go ahead, Paul.
You can take that off the screen, Jason, so we can see them. Sorry.
Paul, you're recognized online?
Okay, just my understanding of the raise for the non-represented people, all you're doing is basically matching the union contract, where the union contract calls for West Coast CPI, and it's adjusted through that. So this is not, you're just bringing it back up to speed of what you guys haven't been getting over the last couple of years, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds fair. I mean, I'm a union guy, but management still needs to get paid too. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay. On to line 9 is our audit. That's a requirement every year, so $35,000 for that. Advertising on line 10 is $2,000, and that is like employment advertising, just small. Yes, Jason?
Sorry to interrupt you, but I have a chat from Sue. Would you like me to read?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Chat says, difference with increase annually for 9.4% for current employees is 61,172.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you.
Bank fees on line 11 is $2,000. Building grounds and maintenance, which I talked about previously, is $125,000. That large increase is due to some inspections on the roofs and such, and just making sure that our buildings are maintained properly. So we want to be able to foresee that and make sure that we have funding for that. Building lease is $1,700. That is our storage unit.
I was forgetting what that is.
I think it's on this little cheater sheet.
Oh.
That I was looking for a minute ago that I didn't bring with me. Computer information and technology services on line 14 is $112,000. That's like our IT services and those kinds of things. Conferences,
So
trainings.
why did that increase $50,000?
It increased $2,000 from our last year's budget. So the budget, the numbers that you're looking at, the year-to-date actual, those numbers are through March. So we still have April, May, and June to finish out.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Rebecca?
Kelly, where does switching to AccuFund and if there's increases in the services for that, is this the line item for that? I can't remember.
That one, I might have
And
to
if
look.
we're going to be doing that within this budget year.
We want to get through this budget cycle,
Yes.
and then, yes, and then in the next fiscal year, start looking at that. In fact, we have an RFI prepared to go out.
Ready to go.
So,
Okay, thank you.
But our lead time will be longer to make appropriate choice.
mhm.
Yes. Conferences and training and travel is $30,000. We missed out on a lot of trainings this year because we just wanted to make sure that we were staying within budget and, not doing anything extra. I know that there's some good trainings that are out there that we need to be able to take advantage of. And so Craig and I decided that number, we needed to have more availability there so that we can get in on those trainings. Number 16 is drug and alcohol testing and background checks. That is $5,000. Dues and subscriptions is $30,000 on line 17. IGA dues and fees on line 18 is $15,000. That has gone up $3,000. That is our Nawada agreement, and so that will be $3,000 more this year. Computer, furniture, and small tools on line 19 is $20,000. The reason why that has gone up this year is there's definitely some new computers that we need to have replaced. Mary definitely needs a new one. Craig needs a new one. Those are two off the top of my head that I know of, to be able to have those and, to be able to work efficiently.
And we also have some pretty old chairs. People have bought their own chairs and brought them in to use. I don't think that's a great practice, so we'll look at getting some ergonomic type furniture for our staff here. Make it a little more comfortable, but it is gonna be a little more spendy than we're used to.
Equipment lease is $2,800. That's like our copiers. Outreach, we have bumped up to $30,000 this year. Mary and Jason have some really good things coming out, really good things in the works to be able to reach out to our community and our riders and, really let them know what we're doing and what we have going on. And I think it's really important that we have that availability, that they're able to spend that money and, able to get the word out about us and how great we're doing. Employee recognition is $10,000. It's really important. Our employees work super, super hard. We've had a long haul this last year and, everybody's stuck together. I think it's important that we recognize our employees as we go through the year and let them know how appreciated they are. They deserve that. Election fees is $10,000. That's every other year, just a kind of a given. Fuel, I budgeted $115,000 on line 24. That's up $15,000 from our budget last year. Fuel's really a hard thing to budget for. It goes up and down and, our buses don't get fabulous mileage. So I want to make sure that we're good there.
Yeah, we went round and round on this one. Some of the projections call for lower gas prices. However, you got Middle East instability. So there's a lot of variables that factor into that. Plus, we also have the Route 15 starting, so there's going to be an increase in the amount of fuel that we put out.
Will these new buses be much more fuel efficient than existing ones, or not much?
Yeah, they will be a little bit better.
A little bit better.
Insurance is $126,000. That is like our building insurance and our vehicle insurance. And we were advised that it was going up 15% around. Legal ads, Mary keeps our legal ads budget right about $1,000, under $1,000. But that's our ads for like our budget meetings and those kinds of things. And advertising in the newspaper is expensive, so those are required. Legal counsel, I left at $20,000. We never really want to have to use legal counsel, but we want to make sure that we're budgeted appropriately if we do.
Who is it designated legal counsel? You guys?
Typically, we'll go through a special district, but if we get an issue that they can't handle, then we go to Matt.
We go to Jason first.
Oh, locally.
Locally, he's our retained
attorney, and I can't remember his last name, but if it's
Still,
Stillman. And then usually if it's labor, he refers us to Matt Malston,
Also,
and he's very, very good.
Local.
Matt's in Portland.
Thanks.
Same law office as Jason though. So,
Line 28 is uninsured loss, so that's like deductibles and such if we have accidents on the bus. As always, we hope it doesn't, but meeting expense on line 29 is $2,000. That allows Mary to be able to purchase snacks and coffee and, you know, if we have to, if we do a meeting somewhere else and we have to pay for that space, that falls into that as well. Office supplies is $12,000 this year on line 30. That's, you know, all of our just general office supplies. Printing, on line 31, we budgeted $20,000 for that. Our printing consists of our schedules and maps and those kinds of things. Mary has some wonderful ideas for this year for that to put out there for people to be able to have. You know, everything's online, but there's still a lot of people that want that schedule or that map in their hand. And we want to be able to offer that to them.
That's like a 300% increase.
We've had, in the past, we have not done much in printing. So any of our printed materials that we have at this point have all of our old routes on them. So that has all changed. Not only do we not have all of those same routes, but our existing routes have changed. So
it's a new base to work from.
Yes, yeah, it's to get us back to where we
Where you
need
should
to
be, yeah.
Yes. And COVID influenced that a lot. We kind of had to shut down,
Yeah,
you know, for almost 2 years, so.
we also print everything in Spanish also.
Professional services is $10,000 this year. I know that that's a large drop, which is great. That's, you know, if we just need somebody to come in and assist with some different things. Last year, a lot of our professional services, Paul was our interim director for 6 months. So his wages when it was a professional service contract labor.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had other stuff within that as well, but we don't, that's not happening this year.
Good, lower, lower's better, that's good.
Oh, Pam?
I don't know if this is the right category, but it's on my mind in terms of buying a new accounting system. When is that happening? I mean, has there been research done that you could have it repaired?
We're gonna put out a request for information once we get through this budget cycle, which will get more information on the various programs that are available and what their costs are going to be.
And it would be interesting to find out other places that use AccuFund, and perhaps that could help you, correct the problems with AccuFund. Because this would be the third system in 8 years or something. Not a good, so there's, and to provide a lot of training, which I'm sure, from what I've heard, didn't exist.
And that's part of the problem, I think, with AccuFund. That training didn't exist. The transfer over didn't happen properly. I've reached out to other districts, not just transit districts, but other districts just as a whole within a financial alliance that I'm in. And none of them said they used AccuFund. And that's a big,
Surprise.
that's a GFOA alliance, so it's a big alliance, like across the United States. So it's not a very user-friendly program. It's not a very, it works, but it's just not, there's a better program out there. It's just finding it.
And I've been wondering if to approach something like a PSU or some college that has accounting, computer courses, that there's a resource for knowledge of how computers work, and to hire them, be a bit of money. But since we've spent a lot of money on computer systems that haven't worked, perhaps that it would be worth paying more.
Let's stay on the budget, that's something that
But
we
that's
can
just
do,
for
yeah,
budgeting.
right, and we talked about that up here a little bit earlier, so.
Okay.
Line 33, taxes, licenses, and fees, $2,000. Telecommunications and internet on line 34 is $30,000. Line 35 for uniforms is $5,000. A lot of our uniforms for our drivers are old and it's time to replace those. Utilities, line 36 is $33,000. Vehicle maintenance and repair, I did increase that number, as I had said, $104,000. You know, we will have some new buses coming in, but we definitely still have old buses that will be operating. And so we wanna make sure that we have those funds available to be able to fix those buses as needed and keep the preventative maintenance going on them.
Has there been deferred maintenance on this fleet historically here in the last 18 months, 2
No,
years? Or, no, I mean, so this is quite an increase then. I mean,
Oh, they're getting older.
They're getting older.
oh, so there's gonna be new cycles of problems.
They're,
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
there's a few of our buses that are like over
20,
12 years.
20,
20.
20.
Yeah.
So they're old and they,
Got it, yeah.
And I've gone through a cycle like this, and what happens is as you begin to order new buses and you start utilizing them more, your maintenance costs come down. At least those first few years.
Right.
So,
so in another couple of years, our maintenance costs will be.
Is there a law that limits transit agencies' use of buses that's over a certain age?
no,
No?
no, kids have transit. Had buses from the 60s still out on the road if you maintain them well. Run them forever. It's good.
And then the last one there, line 38, is shop supplies of $7,500. Gives a total materials and services of $938,000.
I got back on one quick question. What are dues? I just care about dues.
Dues are,
Example, dues.
Dues and fees.
No, just dues. Well, it's dues and subscriptions you have.
So Swiftly we have special districts, we have dues to special districts,
Dues to special districts.
special
Okay.
districts of Oregon.
So it's not the Astoria Country Club, right?
No.
No, just kidding.
Chamber.
Chamber, or there's HR management dues.
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 Organizational.
Yes. Your
Clarification, what is election fees?
There's,
Booklet. Booklet, if the candidates want to be in a booklet, we have to pay for that. We pay for that. So that's what, sorry to interrupt.
nope, you're good. Yeah, so just every other year we have the election dues. So moving on to page 3. This is our capital outlay, and so we budgeted $720,000 on line 51 for the 4 buses. That brings over the totals from the other page to here for $4,522,000. Go ahead, Pam.
I thought it was a transfer that it, whether it's in or out, that it would state where it comes from or goes.
Transfer for,
So all this stiff money, oh, on this page? Okay.
We're on page 4.
On page 4, I'm just turning to page 4, which is STF, the Special Transportation Fund, which you'll notice is all zeros. We don't have that. That has gone away.
It was consolidated into the STIF fund.
So I have a question. Our total resources is 5.7 million. At the end of your total general fund, it's 4.522 million. And is that additional requirements at the very end of 151 or no, 1,512,000? I'm looking for my balanced budget number.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
On page 5 is more general fund, it's requirements. On line 15 is our ODOT loan, which will be $479,000 this next year. We have also budgeted on line 23 for $100,000 to capital reserve. On line 29, we have budgeted $500,000 for contingency. Very excited about that number. And on line 30, we have budgeted $125,633 for reserve for future expenditures. So our total requirements that are non-allocated is $1,204,633. Our total requirements from the previous pages that comes forward is $4,522,000, bringing our total requirements to $5,726,633, which balances to page 1.
Right, okay.
Is there any questions on page 5? Page 6 breaks out our STIF funding. I refer to it as STIF. At the end of this fiscal year, we should have about $465,000 left in our STIF funds. I budget that we will receive $1,047,017 this next fiscal year, bringing our total resources on line 5 to $1,512,017. We plan to spend those funds on line 10 will be operations, $383,371. Line 11 is match. That match is 5310 and 5311 match. That is $455,590. And then line 13 is for our loan payments of $479,000. We will have about $194,056 left over at the end of the next fiscal year to roll into the 26th fiscal year. So total requirements is $1,512,017, which matches our total resources for STIF funding. Any questions on STIF?
What's the interest rate on this loan?
3%. I'm going to move to page 7. I had mentioned this earlier in my budget message. This is the statewide transportation improvement fund discretionary. We do not have this grant anymore. This was used when we had the Portland route, and we don't have that route, so we do not have those funds. So that page is all zeros.
How much money was lost by losing the Portland route?
We actually gained money. Page 8, we talked about earlier, is the STF, Special Transportation Fund. And we do not have that fund anymore. It moved into, I put that in there twice, sorry, that's a duplicate. That moved into the STIF funds. They were combined, the state combined those funds. So that, questions? Is what we've got.
Any questions
Kelly, you've done a very thorough job
Thank you.
and good presentation.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to say this is a big step for the district overall, in terms of changing around the way things are handled here financially. In the past, it's always been the executive director that's done the budget. And what we did this year, we worked together on the budget. And it's a good balance to have within the organization. So any constructive input that you have or questions you have, please bring them forward, because we are gonna have another meeting where we can make corrections and adjust the budget. So thank you.
Didn't you also ask for input from each department, which that had never been done either, had it?
Yes.
I don't know that that had ever been done in that aspect, a little bit maybe, but not
Way back,
Yeah, way
back,
way
way back.
way back.
Way.
Jason and Mary say long time ago. I actually just kind of reached out to all of our department heads and just, what do you foresee this next year? What are things that you need? What are things that you want? Where do you want to see your department? Just things like that. For myself, it was good to hear from Jason and, where Jason was seeing mobility management go. Mary does all of our outreach. So to hear from Mary and know, okay, these are the things that Mary needs. This is what Mary's ideas are going forward. Jennifer in operations, it was great. She had all of these great ideas. We're able to talk about them and, really see what fits this year. There's some things that it was great. It was like, okay, you know what, we can do that now. We did some things now. Some things we budgeted going forward, and some things we're just not quite ready for this year, but we know that those are plans in the future. So it gave us a good direction.
Quick question on, going back to the capital reserve fund that you have, you said like $100,000 for that amount, nice round number. Say you don't use that number in this fiscal year, that number would roll into the next fiscal, or whatever's left of it, or the full amount?
Yes.
Okay.
We plan to not use that money
Right,
this next
that's
fiscal
the
year.
indication I got,
Yes,
yeah.
and to just roll it forward. We're gonna need to replace more buses in the
Sure.
future, and this way we
So it's
kind
a bit of a savings kind of
Yes.
program over time, which makes sense, you're chipping away at it.
yes.
Right, and what that money represents is our match. We'll get a federal grant,
Right.
we're gonna have that match, then we'll start building that.
So you reserve that match that's there.
Yes.
Correct.
That's good.
Correct.
So then we have it
Won't be
there,
as painful as you have to do. it.
right?
Exactly.
It makes it a little easier.
Yeah, like it.
Any other questions of Kelly or Craig?
I just have a couple of comments if I could. I've had the opportunity and honor of being involved with the district for quite a while now, as on the board previously and now responsible for operations for a while. I was able to help out during the transition to our new leadership. And I have watched many of the challenges that we've had here at the district. And I have watched our financial officer come on and be put in a position to have to be responsible for the finances, but not given the authority or ability to interact with the decisions and to manage the things which clearly fall in her job description. I'm so impressed with this budget and with your answers this morning, Kelly, and your awareness of what's going on here. And I realize that in years past, it hasn't been through any lacking on your own part, but I know that you are not given the opportunity to fulfill the requirements of your assignment. But I see that you have risen to the challenge here, and I think you're doing a marvelous job. And I'm really impressed, and I'm completely confident that the numbers that you published here. So great job, great job.
Thank you, Paul.
Tracy, I'm gonna go to Mary, she had her hand up first.
I was gonna ask you, Debbie, if you would explain why we're having a second meeting.
Sure. So we made a policy, didn't we?
Yes.
So we did make a new policy that we are required to have 2 budget meetings. The reason I wanted to see that is we're all here today, but there's a lot of the public that maybe could not be here. So they can watch this on YouTube later tonight or some other time between now and our next meeting. That will give them a chance to look at what we're proposing, get back to us at our next meeting with any comments they may have. To me, it just makes it more transparent. We're not going to pass something today that the community has not had a chance to look at. That's why I required 2 meetings from this point forward.
And to get input, that's really important to the board.
Being as transparent as possible is very important to me. Yes. Tracy?
Paul stole my thunder, so, I would just say amen to that. And, I had one question. I noticed we zeroed any HVAC improvements. Are we still planning? Do you think our HVAC unit's gonna hang in for another year?
No, that's all part of maintenance, building maintenance.
Okay.
There's the roofs, there's HVAC, we have,
They
Other
don't last
things
another year.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were not freezing to death next year.
no, sir, we are not freezing. I do not like to be cold.
Okay, if there's nothing else on questions, we can move to public comment, and there's no public here. Is there anybody from the public, Jason, on Zoom?
I show no chats and I show no hands raised.
We will, the approval of the budget, we will come back to at our next meeting, which
May 23rd,
May 23rd
11 a.m.
at 11 a.m.
It's following our board meeting.
It should be a very short meeting, we'll just have to approve it, but if there's anything that comes up between now and then, that'll give everybody a chance to look it over, ask those last minute questions, and approve it to go on to the board.
Good job.
And if there's nothing else, I'll adjourn the meeting.